61 years old, right? I was young once, just like you guys. And my very first ministry was when I was 22 years old. I just got married. My wife and I moved out to Nashua, New Hampshire. All right? And in my very first youth ministry, and we're in a church that could barely afford to pay us anything. And some of you have heard this story. I'm going to make a long story short. One night we have to go with my van. We have to go pick up 18 teenagers. We have 0 gas in the tank. It's on empty. I have 50 cents in the pocket. There's no way. We're desperate. We got to drive 38 miles to pick up 18 teenagers. That's what I wanted to say. My wife and I just grabbed hands and we just said, God, help us somehow. Put gas in this van. And we drove and picked up 18 teenagers over 38 miles in the New Hampshire wilderness and somehow made it to the church parking lot without running out of gas. And there must have been angels blowing fumes into the carburetor. And the fact that I mentioned a carburetor lets you know how old this story is. Amen? Then the second miracle happened. That night, after the evening service, this man and his wife came up to Diane and I, my wife, and said, hey Mike, my wife and I were praying for you this afternoon. We asked God to show us how we could help you. And he pulled out a mobile gas credit card, stuck it in my Bible, and says, we want to pay for all your gasoline. Amen? I learned so much in ministry that first year. So much about God that first year. So much about life that first year. Those are lessons that I took with me the rest of my life. And the friendships I built in that very first ministry are still friendships I have today. One of them, the other associate pastor, was Jim Harlocker, and he was a young father in the sense that he had 3 children, but they were all quite young. The youngest was a little kid named Danny Harlocker, and Diane and I fell in love with this little kid. And Jim and Darla, his wife, invited us to drive from Nashua, New Hampshire, out to a beach in Maine. I forget the name of the beach, but it was about a 2-hour drive to get out there to the beach, and I think it was called Wells Beach, if anybody knows that area out there. And so we packed up a picnic bag, and so Diane and I are in their station wagon, and because there was a limited amount of space, Danny had to sit in the back with the picnic basket. So he's in the station wagon. Did I mention that? All right, so it's a station wagon. He's in the back. And so we start driving, heading out that way in the country roads, and about 5 miles out, we hear something fall over in the back, and Jim does the thing where he's driving, and he leans back and goes, hey, is everything okay back there, Danny? Now, Danny's about 4 years old, 5 years old. And he goes, yeah, Dad, everything's okay. Okay? Drive more smooth, though, he says. We didn't think anything of that. And so he's driving. Now, this is hilly. This isn't a freeway going out there. This is driving through the hills and mountains to get out to this Wells Beach in Maine. And we're driving like this, and every once in a while, Danny would go, drive a little smoother, Dad. And we're going, what on earth is this? And about 50 miles later, all right, 50 miles later, finally Danny calls out and goes, Dad, don't turn the car. We're figuring out what on earth happened. What had happened was that the container of Kool-Aid had spilled. And when it spilled, it made this like puddle in the back. And Danny was trying to keep it all together. Like for 50 miles, that poor kid was back there using his hands to keep the Kool-Aid together. And finally, it just went all over the place. For 50 miles, that poor little kid back there trying to keep it all together. Now that story has everything to do with our Bible lesson tonight. All right? Now let's just pause for a word of prayer. Because I think I need God's help to get this across. God, thank you so much for incredible opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you for each one of these dear men and women. They could be 1,000 other places, most of it unhealthy places, but they're here to get spiritually fed. They're here because they have set you apart, the true, living, loving God as their higher power. And Father, I pray as I now have the opportunity to open your word and share it with them, that you would bless my stammering lips and my feeble efforts. I pray that you would fill me with your Spirit for the task of preaching and teaching. God, I pray for this great host of men and women that you would also bless them with Spirit-anointed hearing, so that they would hear and respond rightly to your precious word. And I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Tonight I want to share with you a very familiar Bible story. In fact, did you know that in Hollywood there's more movies made about this particular Bible story than there is about Moses leading the children of Israel out of the Red Sea? Down through the years, there's been a lot of movies or attempts back in the silent film era and everything else to make a movie about Samson and Delilah. And if you know the Bible story, you can figure out, man, that probably would make a pretty good Hollywood script. And our story of Samson and Delilah, if you're not familiar with it, starts off with in Judges chapter 13. And just let me read a little bit here. There's no slides on the screen for us. I'm just going to talk briefly here and draw out one big lesson, and then we'll be done. Again, the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. Now let me just stop here so you know what's going on. This is a period after Moses had died and after Joshua had led the children of Israel into the promised land. Then he died. And there's this period of time before Israel would have their first king. And we call that period the period of the judges. Now don't think of judges like we think of judges. All right, judges in the Old Testament, in the ancient Near East, they were not just people sitting with a gavel and black robes and handing out decisions regarding law. No. These were people that God, men and women, by the way, that God raised up in time of need to be the moral, the religious, and the military leader of the nation of Israel. And often they were raised up after the children of Israel would go into a pattern of sin and rebellion against God. You know what, I don't know all of your stories, but I got a feeling there's a few people here that are really, really good at sin and rebellion. Amen? Including this idiot, all right? Patrick, most of all, right over there.
Amen, brother.
Amen. And they would fall into sin and rebellion, and God would say, man, you guys trying this on your own again? All right, I'm going to let you bump your nose. And these opposing nations would rise up around them and start stealing their food and raiding them and stuff like this. And then they would finally get the idea, man, we did something wrong. And they would cry out and say, God, help us. And then God would raise up a judge. Well, it was that cycle repeated again. Now, there was a certain man named Zorah of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and had no children. Back in that day and age, that was just a huge issue. And the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her, by the way, when we read about the angel of the Lord, that is a pre-incarnate appearance of God on earth. So God, in the form of this angel, appears to the woman and says, indeed now you're barren and have borne no children, but you shall conceive and bear a son. Now therefore please be careful not to drink wine or similar drink, not to eat anything unclean, for behold, you shall conceive, bear a son, no razor shall come upon his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb. And he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. So Samson, right from the beginning, is being called for to be one of those judges. You with me on this story? And it says he's going to be a Nazarite. Now, you don't have any idea what a Nazarite is, but that was a particular vow that a man could take. And that vow would set him apart as an example of living a holy life unto God. And here were the requirements. You cannot cut your hair. You cannot drink any alcoholic beverage at all. And you could not approach or touch any dead thing. All right, now, listen. This message is not about drinking or not drinking, although we could go that way if we wanted. But that's not what this is about. It's about this Nazarite vow. Because God blessed Samson because of the Nazarite vow with his presence, which gave Samson incredible strength. Now, what we're going to see now is the story of this man with incredible physical strength, but also incredible moral weakness. So Samson grows up, he does some mighty acts. We could talk about him defeating 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of a donkey. We could talk about that, but I just want to jump ahead because I only got a few minutes with you. And we're going to get to the point where Samson meets Delilah. So Samson is now this judge, and he's defeated the Philistines a lot, all right? And he's done it almost single-handedly, and God has used him incredibly. But his weakness is, he's got I don't know any ways to say it, he's just got this moral weakness with women, and especially Philistine women. For some reason, they just really ring his bell for him, and so now he meets Delilah. Here we go. Again, I could preach 1,000 different ways on this, but we're just going to stick to it right here. Verse 4, afterwards, I'm in chapter 16, afterward appeared that he, that's Samson, loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines, now let me tell you about Delilah. The word Delilah comes from the Aramaic word which means devoted, which seems to indicate that because she was a Philistine woman, she was probably a temple prostitute. So, man, Samson just like sees her and goes, oh man, I've got to have her. And so he falls in love with her, and the Philistines that are the enemies of Israel and the enemies of Samson know that he's fallen head over heels with Delilah. He's emailing her every day. He's on her Facebook all the time. And the lords of the Philistines therefore come to her and say, listen, entice him. Find out where his great strength lies, and by what means we may overpower. Now, where's his great strength coming from?
Hair.
Okay, all right. That we may bind him to afflict him, and every one of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. Now, listen. 1,100, every one of us. There were 5 lords of the Philistines, so that's 5,500 pieces of silver. That represents approximately 16 years worth of income. All right, so here we go. So Delilah said to Samson, please tell me where your great strength lies, and with what you may be bound. And so she's going to try to weasel this out of him 3 times. All right? And let me summarize. Again, I want to make this very brief. The first, he lies to her. He says, well, if you take 7 bowstrings that have never been used before, whatever, and to bind me up with these 7 bowstrings, and there's no way I can defeat that. And so she tells the Philistines that, and then when he's asleep, she binds him up, and then the Philistines are waiting for her in wait, and she goes, Samson, the Philistines are here, and he breaks the bonds, and they all go running away like a bunch of cockroaches. And the second time, He goes, well, he lies to her again. He goes, well, new ropes. There's nothing I can do against a new rope. So again, she binds him up with new ropes. The Philistines are waiting and wait. She goes, Samson, the Philistines are here. Breaks the bonds like they're a piece of thread, and they run away like cockroaches. Third time, it's my hair, but not quite yet. It's my hair. If you weave it into material with a loom and bind my hair with the shovel of a loom, there's nothing I can do about that. She does it again. He defeats that. So 3 times she weasels it out of it. Now I want you to note that. How many times did she try to do this? 3 times. So finally she pulls out the trump card. She goes, I thought you said you loved me. I thought you said you loved me, and here you are lying to me these 3 times. Samson, the idiot, says, okay, the secret's my hair. If a razor's applied to my hair, see, I took a Nazirite vow. Now watch this. I took a Nazirite vow to God as a youth. And if a razor touches my hair, there goes my power. So once again, she goes back to the Philistines and tells them, and they're waiting in the lake, wait. And while he's asleep, she calls. And many people think it's Delilah to cut the hair. No. While he's asleep, she calls for the Philistine to come in with a razor, and he cuts off the 7 braids of Samson's long hair. And then she says, Samson, the Philistines are here. And he wakes up and he has no idea. Because here's what it says here. It says, he says that when he woke up, he had not realized that he lost his strength. For the Lord had departed from him. What's the secret of Samson's strength? Not the hair. It's the Lord. See, this Nazirite vow, we got to be careful we don't treat. Samson had treated that Nazirite vow like it was some type of lucky spiritual rabbit's foot. Because I've taken this is where I got it from. And he absolutely despised that vow because at different points he got drunk, so he touched alcohol. At another point he touched he touched honey that was in a carcass of a lion that he had killed previously. So he touched the death thing. The last thing was his hair. When he cuts the hair, it just shows God that he's totally despising. And see, the key verse is not that the razor was put on the hair, it was that the Lord departed from him. We got to be careful that we know the source of our strength. Now, it's a very good thing for you to do treatment. It's a very good thing for you to do 90 and 90. It's a very good thing for you to get a sponsor. It's a very good thing for you to work the steps. Amen? It's a very good thing to get to meetings. It's a very good thing for you to develop a sober support network. But don't you ever forget that the source of your strength is God. Amen. Amen? Remember that. Now God's going to use all that stuff, but man, don't get your eyes off Him. Because He's the source of your strength. Samson had so despised that it's interesting that when he told Delilah that I'd taken a Nazirite vow since youth, he used the Hebrew word for God that's basically God with a little g. It was the general name for deity. It could have meant any God. Samson's heart was on the way away from God for a long time. Amen? Amen. But at the end of his life, the Philistines captured. I'm going to make a long story short. I got 2 more minutes. Make a long story short. the Philistines capture him, they bind him up. You know the end of the story. He's in captivity. They're mocking him. They bring him in. They tie him to two pillars of the temple. The Philistine lords are there. It's a debauchery. It's a terrible drunken party orgy going on. And while he's bound there, Samson goes, "Oh Lord God." Now I want you to note that. He goes, "Oh Lord God, give me my strength one last time." And God says, "Absolutely, pal." And he pulls down those pillars, and the whole building collapses, and he kills 3,000 Philistines. But notice the difference. Earlier, he used the generic word for God. But when he prayed that last prayer, because Samson would die with the Philistines, the whole building collapsed on all of them. When he prayed that last prayer and said, "Lord God," he used an incredibly personal, intense name for God. Adon Yahweh is what he cried out. Adon Yahweh, he cried out, "Give me strength one last time." And God showed up in a big way. Now, here's the big lesson. Isn't it insane when you realize the story that Samson knew that Delilah was out to destroy him? He knew that. He knew that if he didn't know it before the first attempt, he knew it certainly after the first attempt. And yet, this is what he did. And we all can relate to this. He thought he could manage Delilah. Yeah, I know she wants to kill me, but I'm gonna get my pleasure from her. I can manage this thing. Haven't we done that with the drug of our choice? Amen. I can manage, like Danny Harlocker in the back of that station wagon, trying to get it, keep it, but sooner or later it floods over everything. Danny managed it 50 miles. You might manage it for a few years, but eventually it's going to overrun you. There's no way we can manage sin without it destroying us. Ladies and gentlemen, so stop trying. Doesn't that just make sense? And cry out, Adon, Yahweh, be my strength. And he will show up. And he will be your strength. And God will lead you out of an addictive life. Amen. You watch my words. You obey the word of God. And you will see it in your life.